Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Property Hotline with me, Kavita Krishnan. Now, the war against black money is expected to have a tremendous and a long-lasting impact on real estate. And the biggest impact, of course, that is expected is that the sector will become more transparent. But in the short term, how will it impact you, the home buyer? That is a big question we are answering today on Property Hotline. So if you're in the market to buy, sell, or invest in real estate and are worried about the impact that demonetization might have on these transactions, get in touch with us now. With me in the studios, Ashutosh Limaye. Ashutosh heads research and REIS at JLL India, and he's going to answer all of those questions. Ashutosh, welcome to the show.
Delighted.
Let's get started with a big question. You know, we've been getting calls from across the country, people have been asking, the biggest question people's minds essentially right now is what happens to home prices? Do you see prices going down?
I think that's a question everybody is asking, but the answer is not very simple because the dynamics are complex. We have primary markets, we have secondary markets, which is necessarily the resale universe. We have investors who have invested purely from the returns perspective. We have investors who have invested just to park their surplus funds. So we have so many players here active in the market for different objectives. Our sense is that the people who have used real estate just to park their surplus funds will want to take that money out, which means that they will want to sell their properties, which means that there will be increased supply in the resale market that will prompt to price correction. However, those who have invested from the perspective of making good returns, they will watch out. They will like to sell only when they make those returns that they have anticipated. Primary markets, good developers, good projects who have been selling largely in a transparent manner to end users, those projects will still continue to attract buyers, and hence the price fall is unlikely. But at the same time, there are several developers in big and small cities alike who have relied on buyers' money and the cash component within that to work on the project capital requirement.
Right.
These developers will suffer and prices will come down.
So essentially what you're saying is resale market will see a lot of supply coming in, prices could be under pressure over there. It might take some time to trickle down to the primary market, which is where you buy the flat directly from the developer. You're saying it will also affect the luxury segment, if I got you right. And you are also foreseeing some impact on tier 2 and tier 3 cities.
Actually, we did not discuss luxury segment in details yet. They have got their own different dynamics.
Hold that thought. But you've not answered the big question yet as to how much will prices go down if prices are going to be impacted. But let's take a question now. We have Kaushik Mandal, who's written in on email. Now, he has finalized a 2 BHK flat in Bengaluru East near Whitefield. Now, he says that the builder is carrying out the deal with check and he's not willing to negotiate the price now because of demonetization. He thinks that he's paid more price on the property than he is supposed to. And there is another project that is available at a cheaper price nearby. Now, he's already made an advance of 20% on this property, and now he's hesitant to make the payment because of demonetization. He wants to know, is it the right time to buy property, or should he wait for some more time before the market gets stabilized? Is demonetization impacting negotiations in the market?
I think the impact is only where there was a cash component involved in the negotiations. He has mentioned that the developer is selling only through check payment. So there is no question of cash component here, as I understand from his own submission there. The second property we don't really know was calling for cash component or not. So all those developers who are insisting on check payment are confident about their governance, they're transparent enough, they're confident about their projects selling well. So it's quite obvious and natural that they're not negotiating on the price. The other project that he mentioned, if the developer is willing to sell at a lower price, he is better advised to check why the willingness to settle for a lower price.
Exactly. What comes cheap is not necessarily always what is the best deal for you. What you need to understand, what you need to check is whether the deal that you're getting into, whether it is legal, whether it is above board, and whether, as in the case today, whether it involves a transaction in white where you're making a full check payment, which is what the developer in question was anyway offering you. So Ashutosh, he's best advised to stick with the property.
Yes, I would advise him so, because I'm hoping that on all other fronts he was happy with the property. That's why he has gone ahead and committed to that. And if the developer is seeking money only in white, well, what better to ask for? So he should stay invested. He should continue with that.
Right. We have Chetan Singh Pardesi now, who's called in from Mumbai. Chetan, go on. What's your question?
Hello. Yeah, good evening, sir. My question is I want to purchase a property in Thane West from Lodha Group. They are quoting me 1 BHK in 77 lakhs. So should I wait for demonetization so that price may go down?
Should he wait for demonetization? Will prices go down? Ashutosh, there's no getting away from it. You have to answer this question. Do you see prices going down? And my understanding, Chetan, very quickly, is this a property you're buying directly from the developer, or is this resale?
Yeah, it's directly from developer.
It's directly from developer. It's a new project. What would you say, Ashutosh?
I think it would be an extension to my earlier answer that primary markets will not see price correction, at least in immediate future period. First, we will have to monitor how resale market fares. What's the size of the resale market, how big it is, because that's more opaque of the two, and whether there are enough properties still on the block after some time, which would then put pressure on the primary market. So I think as of now, if you are expecting any price correction in primary market, I don't think it's going to happen. So I think we will have to devote some time to study the resale market to comment whether primary market price will fall or not, and if at all it does, by what amount.
But you keep saying that the resale market is where prices will probably be impacted. So is this a time to go bargain hunting in the resale market?
Definitely. So it gives you two advantages. One, the properties which will be on the block in the resale market, you know that the owner wants to exit. So that way, as a buyer, you are on a stronger foothold. Do your due diligence well, that there is no shying away from that. Check the routine points that you would anyway do in terms of ownership, in terms of permissions, etc. The second advantage that you get is generally they are ready to move in properties. So that means there is no waiting period either. So once you pay and conclude the deal, you can move in any day, and then you save on EMI or rent if you are paying that otherwise. So I think you will have a better hand in terms of negotiation if you are dealing with a resale property now.
Right. So essentially, it's a great time to be a buyer in the real estate market at this point in time. You have a humongous supply anyway in the primary market. What you're also looking at is supply increasing in the resale market as people try to exit their investments. And if you play your cards well and if you negotiate well, you might just get yourself a really good deal in the resale market at this point in time. We have Raj Buranpuri, who's called in from Ahmedabad. Raj, what's your question?
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Magicbricks, for giving me this opportunity. Sir, my question is, I'm looking for a residential real estate segment, and will it be any impact of demonetization? Specific input means whether I'm going for a registered amount or still I need to give some...
Do you still need to pay in cash is the question, right, Raj?
Right. Generally 70-30 ratio is there.
Right. Raj,
so
which particular part of the real estate market are you looking at? What is your budget?
Home. I am planning for home buying.
No, what is your budget?
Budget would be, as per the present and current scenario, it is a 30 to 40 lakh for 2 BHK here in Ahmedabad for particular area.
Okay, so 30 to 40 lakhs, he wants to buy 2 BHK in Ahmedabad. Will he have to pay cash?
This is the earlier scenario. After this demonetization, I am totally blind. What can be the new figure?
Will prices go up? Will prices go down? And does he have to pay cash still?
Right, that 30% will be completely out of the
Ashutosh, what do you say?
I think as a buyer, you are in a situation that was not available to you before in terms of holding your ground and not pay cash. I think in the past, you were not in this situation, particularly in cities of Gujarat, where the cash component was so very common. I think any sensible person will know that it gives you an opportunity as a buyer to do away with the cash component. Sometimes it's a compulsion. If the entire market, as a market practice, is expecting or indulging in some cash component, and if you need a property for your genuine use, sometimes it's a compulsion. But today with demonetization, you have a much bigger and better chance to hold your ground, not to pay the cash. And then all those developers, and there are enough of them in the market, who would accept property price in white with check payment. So I think you just need to do your reconnaissance once more. Reach out to those developers who want to do clean deals, who want to accept cash, who don't want to accept cash payment, and stick with them.
Right, so Raj, essentially go out in the market and look for those people, those developers who are willing to accept check payments. Essentially in this market, nobody is going to be, nobody essentially should be asking you for cash. Ashutosh, before we move on to the next question, what happens to markets, like you just mentioned, like Gujarat, where a huge proportion of the market was dealing in cash? What happens in these markets? Do you see the impact far more in such markets as compared to those markets where check transactions are prominent?
Yes, I do see a higher impact in all those markets which heavily relied on cash component. I think in those markets, the higher objective, the greater objective was to park surplus cash rather than reaping returns the real estate sector used to give. The sector has delivered well in the past, so one made money as well. But I think the principal motive was to park surplus cash.
You're still shying away from giving us numbers. What kind of impact are you seeing on prices? Say if I'm just primarily talking about the resale market, in cities where most of the dealings were happening in cash, how much will prices go down?
No, it is not about shying away from the answer. It's too early to answer that, because we really need to assess the holding capacity of investors who will put their properties on block. And investors is a diverse community. They have invested at different points in time at different entry price. Their objectives were so very different. So unless we allow certain number of days to observe and try to analyze, it's very difficult to do a number.
I'll come back to you with that question again. Let's take Mohan now. He's called in from Mumbai. Mohan, what's your question?
Well, I am on stage of a residential property in Andheri, east of Mumbai. This is for self-occupation, and my question is whether to proceed with the acquisition sometime, considering any likely impact of this monetization.
Right, Mohan, the line is a little. There is some problem with the line, but what I gathered from your call is essentially that you're looking to buy property in Andheri East in Mumbai for self-use, and you want to know whether this is the right time. Should you go ahead and close the deal?
That's right.
Right. Ashutosh?
I think it will all come down to how many days or what's the time that he can wait. It's for his self-use. So obviously there is a time limit before which he should move in. So he has to first educate us about that. If he has few weeks or a few months that he can afford, obviously he can look into the resale market, as well as he can negotiate better with the primary market as well. But if he wants to move in immediately, he doesn't have that luxury of time at his disposal, then probably he will find that no immediate deals are on the offering, because real estate is not a very liquid asset. It takes time to sell it. It's a decision that most buyers do once in lifetime, maybe twice in lifetime. So it takes time to really shortlist, to negotiate, to finalize a deal, and to actually go through the deal. So if he has time at his disposal, then he has the luxury to examine more projects, more work into the resale market. He will get eventually good deals. If he doesn't have that kind of time available with him, I would advise him to go ahead with a reputed developer who is accepting everything in check payment, because immediately over the next few days, prices are not going to move anywhere.
Right, over the next few days, you will not see prices moving anywhere. But if the impact does come, and like you've been saying throughout, that you do expect prices to come under some sort of pressure. How much time will it actually take for prices to go down, and what kind of contraction are we talking? Are we looking at 5%, 10%, 20%? What is the contraction? Because, there are rumors all over the place. We've got, especially your WhatsApp is going wild with rumors of 40 and 50% crash in prices. Is that even, can you even imagine that?
No, and absolutely, I haven't come across any researched the kind of statement saying that 40% correction, 50% correction. We haven't seen any reasons behind that. It's just the number which is floating around. Let me answer this in a relative term. For example, Delhi NCR. This is a market which has been historically dominated by investors. It is the biggest market by volume. It is the biggest market in secondary market as well. Now, there, because of the stress on the primary market, developers were willing to match the secondary market price to retain the buyer. Otherwise, there was a threat, and the threat is still there today, that the buyer would go to the secondary market and buy. So, for the primary market to retain its customer, the buyer, developers were willing to match the secondary market price, which was between 15 and 20% lower than the primary market. Now, that is one landmark that we already have as a reference. Now, if so many people come out to sell in a short time, that 20% can easily fall a lot more. How much? We don't know. But it could be more than 20% for sure. But in other markets, for example, Bangalore, where it is largely end-user driven, the secondary market is also not as big. The impact may not be there. So I think it depends a lot on how big is the secondary market, how soon that stock comes into the market for offloading, and what is the percentage of primary market which is competing for that sale to happen. Markets like Bangalore, where the unsold inventory or the inventory in the making is under control, is better off than NCR, where the unsold inventory in primary market itself is quite big.
And interestingly, we have Shankar on the line from Bangalore. Shankar, what's your question?
Hello.
Yes, Shankar.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening. Please ask your question.
This is Shankar from Bangalore. I have purchased an independent house in Bangalore. Okay, that is around 3-4 months back. And I had taken a loan of mortgage, 14.5. Hello.
Okay.
In the future, it is going to that interest rate will reduce?
Will the interest rate reduce? That is another thing that a lot of people are asking. Do you see rates going down from here? At least that's what most bankers are telling. What are you hearing? What is your take on that?
Yes, definitely the interest rates are expected to come down. Banks have more liquidity. Overall, the demonetization has a deflationary effect on economy. So overall, we will see prices coming down. Interest rates also will come down. And I think today almost everybody opts for a floating interest rate regime. So he will get that benefit by default whenever banks lower the interest rate. So interest rates are indeed expected to come down. How soon and how much? Right now we don't know, but it will be pretty soon and substantial drop.
In fact, Shankar, I'm looking at the interest rate that you just called out. You said something around 13.5% or 14.5%. Now, just for your information, right now rates in the market are at around 9.35 to 9.4%, which means in any case, what you're paying is humongous. You should not be paying off such an expensive loan. What you need to do essentially is not wait for interest rates to come down. You just need to go and approach, and I'm assuming over here that it is an HFC, because otherwise you wouldn't be paying such a high rate of interest. You need to approach your HFC and tell them that, look, I'm going to shift my home loan to another bank, and chances are they'll turn around and give you a better deal, or else just move. There are a lot of banks out in the market. This is a time, in fact, when you should go shopping. If you are a borrower, a home loan borrower, banks are actually competing for to get your customer, and this is a time that you should take advantage and ensure that you get a good deal on that home loan. We now have Taranum, who's called in from Chandigarh. Taranum, what's your question?
Good evening. I have invested in Chandigarh Housing Board by buying a 2 BHK flat for 70 lakh. The payment for this was to be made in one go. The possession will be given to me in 3 years' time. So
Okay.
as the flat inclusive of the loan will cost 90 lakh, so there was limited response to the scheme as people felt it was high priced. I just wanted to know if demonetization will have any effect on the project and the prices of housing board projects.
Will demonetization have an effect on the prices of projects where construction is underway, especially housing board projects?
Yeah.
I think housing board projects essentially mean that there is no cash component involved. It's a government agency, so they will deal always in checks alone. Many times we have seen that government agencies, housing boards are slightly late to respond to market conditions. Also, we have seen that usually housing board projects are oversubscribed, in the sense if they have 100 units to offer, people interested buying in housing board projects perhaps are 1,000. So it is heavily oversubscribed. That's why we have rarely seen that for under construction projects, housing board revising the prices. But who knows, if the housing board is proactive, is responsive to what the market situation is, in next few months they might revise. But looks more like they will continue with the price with which they have entered with the buyers.
Right. And Taranam also raised a question. The other thing that she wanted to know is whether construction will be hit, whether the progress of construction will be impeded because of demonetization. And this does come on the heels of a RERA rollout where developers have to set aside 70% of the money collected from buyers in an escrow account. So they are anyway cash strapped. Now you're looking at demonetization, which means a huge chunk of black money is going to go out of the market. What happens now? Do you see construction being hit?
Not really. I think there are two things. One is projects which are being developed by government agencies or housing boards. So there one should not expect short of funds. The other point that you mentioned, that RERA is going to get implemented in next few months. It's not there yet in terms of actual implementation of it. Going forward, I think RERA is going to discipline developers, and developers have been preparing themselves to tackle the conditions imposed by RERA. So while there will be casualties, there will be consolidation, there will be projects where developers will not be able to honor the commitments, but they are on their way out of this industry. Overall, I think for housing board projects, one should not be that worrying about. In the private sector, more and more developers are accepting the financial discipline as the basic principle to follow. So I think we will have fewer instances. But having said that, there will be few casualties. Yes, there will be some unpleasant occurrences.
There will be a shakeout in the market. We have Mohammed now, who's called in from Mumbai. Mohammed, go ahead. What's your question?
I want to know what is the scenario of Apna Palm Beach Road, Navi Mumbai. Can we buy properties there at this situation, and what would be the rate if we want to buy?
Palm Beach Road, Navi Mumbai, should they?
Sanpada.
And Sanpada. These are the three locations that he's looking at.
This is the one location. Palm Beach Road, it is a well-known locality.
Right, right, Mohammed, right. Should he buy in this particular situation? Should demonetization have any impact on his purchase decision in these areas?
Let me encourage him to do some homework. I think if you have watched this particular episode, we have been discussing about the relative offerings of primary market and secondary market, and the impact of secondary market on the primary one. You have chosen your location. I would recommend you check in the market for every property on sale in primary market. What's the proportion of properties on sale on the secondary market? If secondary market has more properties to offer than primary, chances are you will get good deals and you will get benefit of price correction. If it is other way around, you can safely assume that in near future prices will not fall.
But Ashutosh, how does a lay person, a home buyer who's out to buy a home in the market, how do you really, gauge the market and figure out whether you have more resale properties or whether you have more primary market properties? How can that be done?
I think information availability and information asymmetry, those are the two things that the common buyer of a house was kind of limited with. Now we have so many property portals where properties are listed. Because of a slowing down of sales for a prolonged period, developers have used all possible marketing channels to advertise. Also, the secondary market is taking use of social media channels, taking use of the conventional channels like print, etc. The local brokers are highly incentivized community
No, but then
to sell.
how do I know that there
He
are more
has-
resale properties? Does he actually have to sit and count? Is that what he's saying?
Yes, I'm asking him, I'm advising him to do more work, meet with local brokers, get the offerings, note down the offerings, visit developers, and then compare them. I think if you want to make use of the market situation, a little bit of efforts from your side will help you greatly.
So essentially what you need to do is a market check on your own. Go out into the market, find out what resale properties are selling at, find out what the developer is offering, and pick the best deal that you can get for yourself. Of course, it goes without saying, do your due diligence before you sign in on that property. We have Bhupendra who's called in from Ahmedabad. What's your question?
Yeah, I'm Bhupendra Gandhi calling from Ahmedabad. I have booked a ready-to-move flat with 100% cash component, means 100% white. Do you expect, visualize any decrease in the price in the near future?
Bhupendra, you're saying two different things here. You're saying 100% cash component, 100% white.
Right. I mean, so totally white. There is no, there is no.
As in no cash component, you have to pay only in checks. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, by check.
Will such a property be affected? I don't think so. What do you say, Ashutosh?
Highly unlikely. I think those developers who were dealing in check payments only are the ones who are better disciplined, who are confident about their projects. And I don't think there is any need for those developers to really revise their pricing, because such projects have got good response from the market. In the general environment of trust deficit, general environment of developers delaying deliveries, etc., such projects and such developers have always got good response. Looks unlikely that price revision will happen in such projects.
Unlikely that price revision will happen, especially if you've done a full check payment for a particular project. Now we move on to Madan Mohan, who's called in from Bangalore. What's your question?
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
And nice to be logged on to you. I'm an investor, and I bought recently a couple of residential plots for investment with the hope that to generate a capital gain in over a year. And it is all out of my investable funds only, no debt, in Bannerghatta Road, in Jigni area, and also on Kanakapura Road. I'm just wondering, with the so-called demonetization and likely property falls, do you think there will be a big crash in property prices in Bangalore? Or is it okay to hold? Or suggest me how to navigate this situation?
Right, Mother, and I'm glad you brought up this question, because we've not touched land as of now in this show. And in fact, this is probably the last question on the show tonight. What will happen to land prices, Ashutosh?
I think that's the commodity that will have higher impact. I think historically we have seen that land transactions, unless they are corporate divestments or they are government auctions, have significant cash component. It's a very common occurrence. So I think land markets are going to hit pretty badly. I think in the next few months, we will see a sharp drop in land transactions, because people will not want to sell below a certain rate. They will find all possible possibilities. They will try to find all possibilities to meet at least that amount that they have bought the land for, and which will mean that invariably they will want to account for that cash that went into that purchase. So I think immediate few months, I think land transaction, the number will come down.
Right.
But land prices have to come down, because the capacity to pay.
And Ashutosh, like I said, so land prices will come down, land prices will be impacted. So ideally, he should be holding on to this, right?
He should be. See, we don't know whether it's a plot in a gated community with infrastructure. Few people already building bungalows on
right.
top.
Ashutosh, we are running out of time. What should he do? Hold or sell?
He should hold.
Hold. Hold is the answer. Wait for some time. Wait for the market to settle down. With that, we have come to an end of this episode of Property Hotline. But we will continue discussing this through the week. So if you have any questions related to demonetization and its impact on real estate, do call in. Very quickly, this is what Ashutosh told us today. You will see an impact on resale property, primary property prices. You will see that the impact will probably come in much later. This is a time for bargain hunting. So if you are in the market to buy a home, the time to go out and get yourself a good bargain is right now. Thank you very much for watching. Ashutosh, thank you very much for coming in and answering all those questions.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Magicbricks Now. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Magicbricks Now. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/Magicbricks Now.